Have you ever caught him looking at you when he thought you weren't noticing? That small change in his voice when he speaks only to you. The inner mind does not lie. Even if his words are careful, his spirit has already made a choice, and that choice is you. What if I told you that the man who sometimes confuses you with mixed signals is actually more in love than even he knows? Carl Jung found that our deepest feelings go around the thinking mind and show themselves through tiny actions we cannot control. When a man's spirit recognizes yours, his body reveals what his lips have not yet said. Many women mistake silence for not caring when in reality it may be the exact opposite. The most honest kind of love does not announce itself with big displays. It quietly changes his whole world in ways neither of you fully grasp until now. These are the clear signs that his soul has picked you, even if his mind hasn't realized it yet. That man who may puzzle you with his silences, his distant mood or sudden closeness, might be much more in love with you than he himself thinks. Because love does not always arrive through logic or plain words. Sometimes it crawls in through dreams, through the way he watches you when he doesn't realize it, and through how his behavior changes with you and only with you. Jung said that what is not made known appears in life as fate, and this applies to love too. If he has not yet become aware of what he feels, his soul is already acting for him. Before we go on with the video, I want you to comment on this word resonance. Do it not just for me. Do it for yourself, because when you write a word that vibrates with you, you give your spirit permission to recognize what it already knows. Comment resonance. If something inside you stirred when you heard this message, if some part of you felt seen in these words, write resonance and let the universe reply. So, how can you know if he is truly in love? What signs does his inner heart and his deepest feelings give you, even if he never says it out loud? This will not be a shallow look at things. I will not talk about phone messages or romantic cliches. We are going to go deep into what Jung called the symbols of the soul, into how a man shows himself when something within him shakes every time you are near, even if he does not fully understand it himself. And before we move forward, I want you to pay attention to every sign, because often the mistake we make is waiting for speeches, promises, or big acts, and we miss the most important thing, the way someone changes their inner world when you are in it. Jung taught that true love is not chosen, it is not planned. It appears as an unstoppable force that breaks down our walls and connects us to the most basic part of who we are. So, open your feelings and your heart and watch for the following. And if that man does even one of these things, if you have seen him act in any of these ways, it means he is deeply moved by you, and likely much more in love than his thinking mind is ready to admit. I will show you these signs one by one, from the most hidden to the most obvious. It is not just about knowing whether he loves you, but about seeing how someone's soul answers to real love. When a man is deeply touched by a woman's presence that changes him, even if he cannot explain it, his behavior starts to shift in ways even he cannot stop. And the first big sign is in how his focus moves. It is not the obvious kind of attention, the kind that tries to impress or get noticed in return. It is something more quiet and more real. He starts seeing details that others miss. He sees how you really feel even when you say you are fine. He notices how you changed your hair even if you did not talk about it, or if something in your voice sounds different. This kind of focus does not come from basic interest, but from a deep bond. Jung believed that true feelings push themselves outward so we can understand them. That is why this kind of man reacts from inside, not from a plan. He does not need to see you every day to remember you. You might notice that he mentions you out of nowhere, asks about something not yet finished, or simply turns up without a clear reason. He is not doing it out of habit. His inner mind is pulling him toward you. He is working through something he has not named yet, but it is drawing him in. This is not a dark focus or being needy. It is emotional resonance. Your energy has touched something in him and it is starting to speak without words. Another strong sign is how he starts to change when he is with you. Some men act the same with everyone, but when a man is truly in love, even without knowing it, his behavior with you becomes different. He may seem more soft, more open, or even more clumsy. Because true love does not make someone look perfect, it takes away their armor, and that makes them more human and more real. If you notice that he only lets his guard down with you, if his silences with you feel deep rather than uncomfortable, you are seeing something far beyond a passing interest. But there is more. Jung believed that what the soul loves, it protects. And this man might start to worry about you in ways that go beyond logic. He might want to make sure you are warm, that you are not walking alone at night, or that you are eating well. It is not about control or trying to seem important. It is about something inside him that has started to feel responsible for your safety, as if his own peace somehow depends on yours. And when that happens, when a man starts caring for you with that quiet care, without expecting anything back and without looking for praise, it means that deep within himself, he has already made you a part of his inner world. Even if he does not say it, even if he does not understand it, and even if he will not admit it, his soul is already tied to yours on a level past reason. And so if you are seeing these signs, if every word hits home with you, do not take it lightly. Do not be confused by his lack of words. What is happening inside him is much bigger than it looks. Stay with me, because what is coming next will show even deeper signs, ones that only a real bond can bring to light. There are moments when a man does not need to say anything at all for his energy to give him away. It is as if his presence speaks for him. Maybe he has not told you he loves you. Maybe he has not made big promises or plans, but there is something in the way he looks at you. It is in how his breathing changes when you get close. It is in how he stays quiet beside you without needing to talk. And that silence is not a lack of words. It is being fully there. It is his soul connecting to yours with nothing in the way. Because when a man is more in love with you than he dares to say, his body says it all. Watch how he reacts when someone else talks about you. If you are in a group and someone praises you, watch his eyes. If someone speaks badly of you, notice how his face shifts. Love does not have to be known to defend what it cares for. His natural drive turns on, even if his mind is still puzzled. Jung said that the inner mind has its own ways, and often we are led by feelings we have not yet been able to name. If he reacts with just a glance when someone says your name, it is because something inside him has already decided that you matter more than he once thought. Another clear sign is found in his effort. When someone feels something real for you, they try. Even in the small things, it does not have to be huge. It is in how he listens to you, how he remembers things you said a long time ago, how he changes his schedule for you, and even how he says sorry when he feels he did not do enough. That quiet effort shows more than 1,000 words. This is because someone who does not feel anything does not move, but someone who loves, even without understanding it, makes room. They do not do this because they have to, or to impress you, but because their inner world is already shifting to include you. And here is something very few people notice. When a man is deeply moved by your presence, he begins to change even when you are not around. His daily habits shift. His thoughts become more uneven. He might seem distracted, more thoughtful, or more restless. It is as if something has been turned on inside him, and he does not know why. but you are there in his mind and in his feelings. Things that used to be automatic for him no longer are. Jung spoke of the power that inner figures have to change a person even without physical touch, and you, without trying, have become a figure that lives in his inner world. Even if he does not say it, or if he denies it, you are already there. That is why you should not be fooled by how things look on the surface. Many men stay silent about what they feel, not because they lack emotion, but because it is hard for them to turn the language of the soul into the language of words. And this is where, if you are paying attention, you can see beyond. You can sense what he himself has not yet found, that his heart has already decided to stay. There are more signs that show this silent but powerful love. Once you understand them all, you will see the full picture, one that may forever change how you understand love. There is a change that happens in the heart of a man in love that is rarely seen at first. It is slow and almost hidden, but deeply powerful. That change shows up when he starts letting go of certain behaviors that used to define his life. Maybe he used to avoid commitment, or maybe he always kept a distance from others, or maybe he simply lived for himself. But since you have come into his life, something has been moving inside him. It is no longer enough for him to only think of himself. He starts to open up mental and emotional space that he was not willing to share before. He does not do this as a sacrifice. He does it almost without knowing, as if his soul is adjusting to a new reality calling from deep within. Watch if he has started to share parts of his life with you that he does not show anyone else. These are not small details, but deep parts of his story, his fears, his regrets, and his biggest dreams. When a man is connected to you on that level, he begins to show his true self without filters. It is not because he wants you to think he is perfect, but because he is starting to trust in a way he has never felt before. At that point, it is no longer about winning you over or a game of chasing. It is about letting go. And that act, though it may seem small, is the greatest proof that something inside him has changed. Jung said that the soul needs a mirror to know itself, and through your presence, you become that mirror. He begins to see you, and at the same time he begins to see himself in a new way. There is another detail that often goes unnoticed: how he reacts to your emotions. Not everyone knows how to handle someone else's deep feelings, but when a man is truly into you, he begins to feel things with you without even realizing it. He feels your joy and smiles with you, but he also becomes bothered when he senses your sadness, even if he does not have the right words. His energy changes when yours does. He may not ask, "Are you okay?" every time, but you will see it in how he looks at you, in how his voice gets soft, and in how he comes closer, even if he doesn't know what to do. That desire to stand with you in your feelings, even without knowing how, is one of the most honest signs of hidden love. And perhaps the most telling sign of all is what happens when you are not around. Watch how he acts in your absence. If he brings you up in normal talks, if he saves things to tell you later, or if something happens and you are the first person he thinks of, then there is no doubt. In those moments when you are not there, and you are still alive in his inner world, his thoughts and his feelings, he is more in love than he knows. What stays with him when you are gone is stronger than what is said when you are there. That is not a coincidence. That is the soul speaking. All of this is not about guessing what someone feels. It is about learning to read with your heart. Love often does not arrive with words or certainty. It comes with signs the soul sends when it starts to recognize another soul. Stay close, because what comes next will show how love acts when it can no longer be held back. There is a stage where a man, even without realizing it, begins to need your presence not as a habit, but as a way to find balance. He may not say it with romantic phrases, but something in his energy shifts every time you are far away. He might not tell you directly, but you will notice it in his restlessness when he has not heard from you, in how he shows up just as you are starting to forget him, or in how any excuse seems okay as long as it brings him back to you. It is not an obsession or being too needy. It is a real connection from such a deep place that even he cannot explain why he thinks of you so much. According to Jung, this makes perfect sense, because the inner mind is not tied to logic or time. When a true feeling grows there, it begins to shape thoughts and choices. One of the most powerful ways this shows is in how that man begins to value your opinion, even on things that do not involve you. He might start to share his life plans and ask what you think, not to impress you, but because he truly wants to know if they fit with yours. He does this because quietly you are becoming a guide in his emotional world. He might even start opening up about his doubts and his uncertainties. True, because when love is real, it does not force its way. It does not demand things. It does not need people to clap for it. It simply stays. It becomes a steady part of your life, and even on the most quiet days, its presence speaks in a loud way. It is a force that does not try to talk you into anything, but it wraps around you before you even notice it is there. That is when you understand that love, true love, is not just a feeling, it is a language. And that language does not need words. You see it in the tiny moments, in how he stops for just a second longer to watch you when you are not looking, in how he remembers the things you thought he forgot, in how his look shifts the moment you walk into the room. What seems like nothing to others becomes a deep echo inside you. And no, it is not about being perfect. Real love is not built on ideal pictures. Sometimes there are doubts, strange silences, or times when you feel far apart. But even in those pauses and in those cracks, there is a presence that does not fade, because what is born of the soul does not break with the first storm. Jung spoke of the journey toward one's true self, but he also taught us that on that path we meet others with whom we bond at a level beyond logic. And when that happens, when two people who are healing meet, they do not look to complete each other, they look to walk together. That man who is more in love with you than he knows may not always be able to say it. He might not find the right words. He might struggle with his own fears, with hurts that are not yours to carry, or with ghosts whispering that he is not good enough. But if you watch with an open heart, you will see his actions go against his fears. You will see that despite the fear, he stays. That even when he has doubt, he never fully walks away, because his soul has already started to see you as home. And when one soul finds a home in another, something deep begins to change. It is no longer about being together because of a need, but about sharing from a place of freedom. He is not looking for you to fix him, but to walk beside him. And you, without even realizing it, become a mirror. You are someone who reflects not only his dark parts, but also his light. You are someone who reminds him who he is beneath all the noise of the world. That is why when he feels calm with you, it is much more than just a sign of liking you. It is an act of trust, an act that, according to Jung, is full of symbols and deep meaning. This is because we only lower our guard for what we feel is safe and what we feel is true. And if he does that with you, if he shows you his mistakes, his trips and his messy parts, do not see it as weakness. It is a form of giving in that few people dare to offer. Many are still chasing love that tries to impress, love that screams, or love that is too much. But you are seeing something different, a love that stays and remains when no one is watching, a love that chooses without needing a show, a love that does not promise you the moon because it has already started building you a safe place on earth. And that love, though it may seem quiet, is huge because it does not depend on the moment. It depends on the bond. There will be days when he will not know how to act. He may pull away. He may ask himself if he is good enough for you, but even in that back and forth, something stays. There is an invisible string that pulls him back and pushes him to try again. Because when the soul chooses, the mind eventually says yes. And you who feel this, who see these signs, you are not imagining things. You are receiving a quiet language that only awake hearts can read. You are standing in front of a bond that goes beyond names, beyond timing, and beyond being sure. You are in the presence of something growing from inside, like a seed that does not need to be forced to bloom. Maybe he has not fully seen it yet. Maybe he still thinks it is just luck or just chemistry or being a good match. But inside him, another truth is already coming out. A truth that makes him look for you without knowing why, protect you without planning to, and put you first without being asked. That cannot be made by hand. That is born. That vibrates. And if the day comes when he is finally able to say in words what his soul already knows, it will be because you knew how to give him space, because you did not rush it, because you understood that grown-up love does not need to be hurried. It is not a race, but a dance where sometimes one takes a step while the other waits, and other times both move together without ever having practiced. In that flow and in that secret harmony, the holy is shown, that which does not need to be explained, that which simply is. As Jung taught, the most real parts of us are not found on the surface, but in the deeper layers, in dreams, in symbols, and in feelings that rise up without warning. And love, when it is true, lives exactly there, in that part of the soul that is untouched by lies, fear, or masks. So, if you see him changing, if you notice his habits shifting, his focus moving, and his energy getting soft when he is near, do not doubt it. He is in love. Maybe he does not know it yet. Maybe he will not say it, but his soul has already picked you. And you who feel it too, remember you are not here by chance. You are standing at the start of something real, something few people ever get to feel, something that cannot be bought, faked, or forced. A love built in silence, step by step, move by move, until one day, without warning, it becomes a sure thing. And when that happens, when both of you see it without fear, you will not need to promise each other anything, because you will already be walking in the same direction, not because you have to, but because you choose to. Out of that deep and quiet feeling that real love does not shout, but it changes everything. And as time moves forward, almost without you noticing, something inside you begins to change too. Not because of what he says or what he promises, but because of the way his presence begins to live inside you. Not in your mind, but in that quieter and wiser part of you, your soul.